building awareness on the new or the current drug law of the country. That's how we will be doing it up to 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, we will call it a quit on this edition of the program today. So we have Moria Moabon Payne. She is the focal person of the group. She's here with us. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we also have Saidu Suare, the that's the deputy focal person. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so both are here today. And just to look a little bit about this group, and it says that the West Africa Drug Policy Network is a collaboration of West African civil society organizations that have come together to support drug policy reform in West Africa by building the capacity of local CSO to address the impact of drug markets on democracy, governance, human security, human rights, and public health. Welcome again, and let's start from there. You just reading a profile of your group. Is there more to what the public need to know about you people?
Thank you so much. I'm Malamira Mwabompe, the focus person of West Africa Drug Policy Network. Thank you for welcoming us to your studio, and I will just open the floor for my colleagues to just introduce himself, then we can move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, so like just what you said that previously, but I also want to add to say in terms of additional thing you wanted us to say about WADPN. I would say WADPN is also one of the champion of the drug policy processes in Liberia, from the drafting of it to advocacy, and now we have a drug law currently in Liberia. So we have been one of the pioneers.
Mm. Yes. So meaning that you succeeded in your work to have this drug law law passed today. But where can we start now when we're talking about the awareness? Because yes, the drug law has already been passed, is into action, as we can say. What Liberians need to know more about this law that now you will start from? You already work to ensure, yes, it came into being, but how can they get more of the knowledge about it? I'm sure it's your next work.
Okay, first of all, before we start with the awareness issues, I want to use this platform to say a very big thank you to our lawmakers, the both houses, the House of Representatives and the House of Legislature. They actually did well, because when we started this fight, it was not an easy thing to actually succeed as an organization. From 2016, West Africa Drug Policy Network started this with our first bosses that were there before I was appointed as the focus person. And when I took over the network, it was a huge challenge as a female, where other guys have failed. And I came in with the high expectation to review the drug law. Most of my colleagues thought I couldn't make it because I'm not the kind of person who is always on the air. I'm always at the back. So it was a challenge. But I actually want to be grateful to Honorable Tomo Koshua from Green Basel. He stood by me, he and Ellis Body. And day to day, along with my colleagues and the UNODC, the WATPN chapter, the Ministry of Health, and not also forgetting His Excellency Joseph Yumabwaka, who also declared drug as an emergency issue to our nation. I want to say I appreciate all of them for working along with the WATPN Liberia chapter. So come back to why we are here today.
Sure.
The issue now that the drug law has been passed, and looking back at our reflection when by 2007, after the war up to present, people have been traumatized, and there are a lot of less fortunate youth the in the streets. But then, and they are also falling prey to the use of narcotic substances.
Sure.
Okay, so parents had the expectation that the old law was bearable, and then they wanted the new law to be non-bearable.
They want to crucify somebody
Yes.
for.
So that was the kind of high expectation they had, for which they were pushing for the law to be reviewed. So our Ghana chapter in Liberia decided to actually help West African country to review their law. So being with that high expectation that Liberia were craving to have a non-bearable law, and also the health component that have to do with the rehabilitation, they saw it as a need to come to our aid. So now that we have a non-bearable law that is being passed, the major thing is that most often we have good laws on the book, but what happens is that implementation is the bigger problem for our country.
That is always said about
Yeah.
Liberia, yeah.
So this is what drives us to this awareness.
Okay.
We have started community awareness because you cannot just talk about the law being non-bearable, and the people don't know what is actually the non-bearable aspect of this law.
Okay.
We're looking at the rehabilitation aspect of this law. There are a lot of components that are good in this law, and it need to be talked about. We need awareness, because you cannot just go and incarcerate somebody or raid all over the place when the people don't know what you are raiding them for. They don't know whether it is the new law you are acting on or it is the old law.
But that old law is not in existence again, so everything we do now will be in line with the new law, right?
It's possible that somebody will still be acting on the old law.
Reading the old law.
Yes, because the old law talk about when you are arrested, your counselor can come and file a bond for you. But with the new law, no, it is not like that. Based upon the kind of substances that will be caught with you, and the grave to that and to that amount that is being caught with you, it has a punishment. It is non-bearable. Okay. So if the man is not educated to the law and he want to bypass it, he can raid the man and use the old law, and his lawyer can go and plead for him. So we have to make sure that the new law, our government officials should actually, those relevant entities that should be handling the new law, they should give them the adequate knowledge to be on top of the new law. The new law should not just be on the book and then it is not being implemented.
Okay.
Yeah, the law should be implemented. The law should be published, that people should know what they are doing.
So what are some of the components of this new law that you, based on your awareness, what are some of the important parts of this law that you think people need to know, whether at the community level or at the national level? What are the major components of this law that you think people should be aware of?
All right. So if I can just pick up from where my colleague landed. So the advocacy towards the passage has been achieved, but then passing it into law is one thing, implementation is another. In fact, from the passage of the law, and then needs the dissemination or awareness for people to know of it. Now, from awareness is the implementation, and implementation requires resources. Resources requires collaboration. Collaboration can only be effective if we do it in a multi-sectoral approach, because we have the health part of it, we have the treatment, we have the enforcement, the legal, aspect of it. So it's almost like everyone's business right now. Okay. And coupled with the president's political will in terms of declaring a public emergency is another thing that is of importance. Now, going to the main portion, the crux of the law that has been passed. So she told you about from it being variable to now non-variable. Besides that, the law also has a human right based approach in green into it. Okay. So we have the support non-punish, and it also has something to do with the human right based approach related to the punishment. So this time around, this new law took into consideration the distribution of punishment in line with, so the offenses to traffickers have huge more punishment
Okay.
than the guys who are in possession or taking it, because what we have been advocating for over time, the drug users are actually victims, to be frank, because for us that have this background in substance use prevention, or being substance use prevention professionals, we know when you start to take the intent, when you become addicted to it, how sometimes you will want to leave it but there's no way, so you become enslaved to it. So in that way they become victims, so they really don't necessarily need more punishment, they need treatment. So that is also considered as part of this new law.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it that the law, right? Like you spoke about the trafficker and the user.
Yes.
Is it non-biddable too for the user?
It depends.
Okay, it depends on what.
It depends on how often, because some of them, they are also being used to traffic the drugs, though they are victims. Yes. So it depends if you are being caught sometime on multiple occasions with huge quantity of drugs, though you are a user, but you are playing dual roles.
Okay.
Yes. And also depend your age on age matter as well. Yes. So
So how old you should be before you are considered maybe for a lesser punishment and for a greater punishment?
maybe less than 12 below.
Okay,
12, 13.
So below 12, 13, they will give you lesser punishment.
No, we are talking about traffickers. We
Okay,
are talking about
traffickers.
traffickers. Yes, we are talking about traffickers.
Okay.
So if you are caught with always huge quantity of goods, all the drugs, you go to jail for 10 to 20 years.
For the first offense.
Yeah, depends.
Hmm.
Yes.
Isn't this something to keep the traffickers out of the market?
Yes.
Okay.
10 to 20 years depends on the quantity of drugs that are being caught with you.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk a little bit about the health part. I want us to talk because I know I read a report before. There was this group put together by the United Nations. It had a representation of former presidents and some former high-ranking, people of the world. And when they did that work, they came up and first of all they said that the war on drugs failed. But then they push for especially the legalization of marijuana. According to them, yes, you can legalize marijuana, but then once somebody can take in marijuana, they should be able to seek treatment and get a relevant treatment. I think that is why some countries across the world are today legalizing marijuana. But here in Liberia, it is illegal. And besides that, there are other drugs affecting, people in Liberia. So what is this law saying about the treatment side? Because once somebody is arrested with or, into the drug, maybe this person is taking the drugs and they are arrested, where would they be going first? To the hospital or to the jail?
It should be taken to rehabilitation.
Okay, so meaning rehabilitation is the same as hospital where they will be taken care of and all of that, and that's what the law say, and that's why you people are supporting that, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say something on the drugs when you're talking about marijuana. So this law also took into consideration the prescription medication. So, and this is very easily misunderstood by people. So even if you will go to the hospital and then people prescribe drug for you, and the way you will take it, if you abuse it, you can also, let's say for instance, the tramadol.
Yeah.
The tramadol is actually used for the treatment of like depression or some other thing. But the guys they take it, they overdose themselves, and then they feeling that, so they are using it now for different purpose. So It can even be a prescription drugs like Finnegan or some other, diazepam and thing. If you misuse it, you are still in conflict with this particular law we are talking about. So it is not tied to only the illegal one, but there are drugs that are just on the table, and people.
Medical drugs that
Yes, medical
can
drugs.
later on turn to illicit drugs.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is also considered as part of it as well.
Is there anything in the law that considers marijuana as or medical drug or can be used for medicinal purpose?
No, I've not come
No,
across.
Or not in this
Yeah.
law. So talking about the implementation of the law, I'm sure is between the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency now and the court system or the national police. Now you people work to ensure that yes, the law is passed, but implementation, how are you engaging with the relevant, institutions to ensure the implementation of the law?
So the implementation actually lies between the LDEA, the health sector.
The health,
Yeah,
okay,
before the
that
police.
with the rehabilitation side.
Fine.
Okay.
Yes. Because when we are advocating that the guys need treatment, they don't need punishment, we need to have that. And in the past, we've very been making a lot of mistake on that. That has been a piece that is always been missing. The enforcement part has been there, the enforcement, the arrest, and all these things. But at the end of the day, as long as someone is addicted, they will go all out to find the drugs to take it. Yeah, and the traffickers will keep getting rich and will reach out of the whole thing, and then the guys are not healed, and then they causing problem, and then even the crimes rate from the police, they will arrest more people because then when you are addicted and you need to get the drugs and you don't have money, overnight you are going over people windows and other things then to commit crimes just to have money so that you can support your habit.
Sure.
So a way to do this is not almost all the time incarcerating people, but I think the general good of the public needs to be prioritized, and that is our citizens. The guys that are taking these drugs were very good people, and they can still become productive citizens. So they need rehabilitation. So from the law, what we have in the law is that the first time when you are caught in possession of it, you will go to like for 4 months in jail, and if you are again arrested with the same thing, it can increase. And
Okay,
the
so-
sentence can be increased up to a year or even up to 5 years. But
Every time you are caught, your sentence.
yeah, it's
will
almost
increase.
like, oh, the guy is not learning sense, so we got you. Okay, so let's increase it this time around. But for us now, the place where we come in, we are the human rights people. So we've been advocating that if John Brown is caught the first time and sentenced for 4 months, and then he comes back and he's caught again, we will advocate that something is wrong. He should not go back again because then he needs
Probably rehabilitation.
yeah, rehabilitation instead of just punishment, because as long as he's getting in problem with it and he's still coming back to it, then there's something wrong that has keep holding him, and that's the addiction. That's the disease part of it.
Okay.
This guy is sick. He's not just satisfying this thing, but he's sick. He will want to leave it, but there's no way. He's caught on it and he's being used by these drugs.
Okay.
So this is where our advocacy come in. And then we advocate and make sure that the relevant actors play that role. So the guys that are trafficking, the LDEA arrest them and make sure that they see that this caught. And then the guys who are victims who are taking the drugs, we also ensure that they go to the relevant rehabilitation centers. And the rehabilitation centers range from between psychosocial service provision for people who are just starting. We call that's the universal intervention. The guys who they have just started, they've been engaged, they've been initiated. So psychosocial rehabilitations can take place. Those who have gone to the extent of being addicted, they will need pharmacological that the medical attention. So
Okay.
detoxification. So we have some training background in that. We also coordinate that to ensure that the guys that are affected, based on the degree at which they are affected, they go to the relevant actors and get the services. And then on the other way around, we are also advocating for resources, because most of these centers we are talking about, in fact, currently Liberia is very much scarce. The real good one in the country, we can count not more than less than 10. The rest of it is just faith-based and all the other things. So
and the number is increasing.
Yeah, the number is increasing when it comes to this disadvantaged guys. It's increasing. Almost every community now you have group of them, and it keep increasing on a daily basis. And we have limited rehabilitation centers for treatment and related to that.
Okay.
So this is another advocacy in terms of mobilizing both national and international resources that will be able to counter this. Because even we have the institutions when they are now well, facility. I mean, the facilities are not available, they will still not be effective. Yeah.
Okay, Saidu Soare is the deputy focal person for the West Africa Drug Policy Network, Liberia chapter. We also have Morel Moambon Pin. She's the focal person. She's also here. They both are guests on this last segment of the bumper show. But it's like about 9 months now since the president sign this into law. You said many good things. You push for it is here. You also working on the awareness, making sure that most of what is in it happen. But I will come back to the issue of prosecution, because in recent time we know that, in fact, between that time to now, like the 9 months I've been talking about, several individuals have been arrested. Huge quantities have been confiscated. Are you people part of those who are ensuring, or do you have any idea whether anybody has been convicted for drugs up to date in the country?
Okay, let me just speak to that. You see, the focus of West Africa Drug Policy Network, I'm sorry, our focus is on harm reduction.
Harm reduction.
Yes.
Okay, meaning?
For example, like from 2016 to 2017, in between there, we found out there were a lot of people that were being raided from the street, and they were just incarcerated without treatment. And then West Africa Drug Policy Network came back. He said, where are we carrying these people? We take them from the street. There's no rehabilitation center, and they were already being victimized. It's when we came up with that decriminalization aspect of it, from the harm reduction components, that we should look at them as victims of the use of drugs, and not the importer or the trafficker. They have health issues.
So you wanted to separate them.
Yes, separate them. And we were able to do that, to have that law decriminalized. And that's the reason why you see them, they are to a certain area, they are getting together, and you find a CSO go there and have them taken from there and take them to a rehabilitation center. So with the aspect of the new law, again, we are actually pushing for prevention and rehabilitation and more awareness.
Prevention and rehabilitation, more awareness. In this new law, meaning that it's not there yet?
It's there, but we are pushing for it to be implemented.
Oh, the implementation.
Due to the questions that you have asked.
Okay.
Like, people are being raided from the various ghettos, and their property have been even confiscated. Okay. I know a guy who the LDA went into their house. They took their television, they took good amount of money from them, and then they were incarcerated for a few days. Okay. And they were told to pay some money, and they have been running through the process through the court. And, so our question is, where do the money go? And how the process is being really carried on. You see, so that's a good question that you asked us. So we also, as a chapter, we are not going to just work on this law and abandon it. We have to also, we are waiting to work alone and collaborate with any government entity or agency that need our help, for us to work along with them, because we know where the guys are, because they are just ready. You come to Plan A, you raid. You take one trafficker, only just one trafficker, you arrest for that day. Yeah. And all of that ghetto, so now you have more than 4 to 5 traffickers that are there. And the moment the guys come and raid here, and there's our mark on our ghetto, most of the guys down there are moving into the bush, where LDA do not even have car to go. Okay. So we are now also helping the situation by just raiding, because we should have a measure put in place for rehabilitation. As my brother said, we have rehabilitation centers in Liberia, but most of the rehabilitation centers that we have, they are all payable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are forms that are attached to the rehabilitation centers.
Yeah, some of these guys
They don't have the
it.
money, so
Yeah.
we have the good law. So for the law to be implemented, we are also calling our partners to also see how best we can have a national rehabilitation center that will be free. So when we go for rating, when we rate this, we should be able to take these guys, whether they are waiting, they are not waiting, and be able to take them to the rehabilitation. That's the only way this identical law will actually have effects.
I will open the line very shortly, but what as part of your awareness, right? Your community engagement, your outreach programs, what do you say to these people in the community as a means of understanding what they should be doing? Because there's so much to this law that you are explaining that people don't know. They just think, oh, the law, they draw law pass. When they catch you, you go to jail. You in jail for left time because it's non-billable, and they don't know about the rehabilitation part and all of these things. What are you telling these people in the communities?
Yeah, so just to continue from there, so when we enter, we've been carrying out series of awareness activities in communities at community level. So when we enter there, we gave them the good news about the passage of the law, and then also try to make the community also know how it applies to them and what role that they need to play, and how is it going to trickle down to them in terms of effect, and what kind of impact it will have on them. Let's say, for instance, so two different categories. So we have the guys that are bringing the drugs So firstly, we encourage the guys who are using it that if you might be using it, the law is not too stringent on you, but at the same time, you have to take note of what it's saying, and then there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That means where you are, you can still recover and become productive citizen of the country if you are ready to make that change. However, the law is very much stringent on traffickers, and then we break that trafficker thing down to means people who are importing. So importation, those who are doing that, even distribution. So and then owners of ghettos is very much so. The penalty for that is between 10 to 20 years imprisonment, and most of what we are saying. So we break it down.
So even if your home is used as a ghetto,
Sure.
Yes. So those who have ghettos are counted as part of that. The people who have maybe like someone who have unfinished house, maybe you're building a house and then you ran out of money and left it there. We have so many of the houses in the community where there's grass growing just there. You need to keep watching on that property, because when it's being used for illegal purposes like that, you can be arrested as well and be counted, because then you are a facilitator.
Only proving that you are aware that they are there and
Yes.
you cannot stop them.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we will break that down and make the community to know that this is how this drug is considering what has been taken into consideration, and these are roles that you can play, and we can all it can be everyone's business, and we need everyone's effort to tackle this thing. Yeah.
Okay, so let's have our audience participation now with the time at 15 minutes up to 6 o'clock. 0880-514-096. You can call that number. You will be live on the program. 0777-835-862. 0777-835-862. You can also call that number. You will be live here on the program. We are talking to officials of the West Africa Drug Policy Network, and we are discussing and raising awareness on the new or the current drug law of the country. We have someone here on the line. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you for the topic honored discussion. I'm Joyous Morris calling you from Copos Farm, Fennel, Louisiana Township.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Thanks very much. I want to thank the guest in studio for the explanation. But we all are making great mistakes. We are not on the preventive aspect as much. When we introduce the education, then we will have a reduced number of persons being addicted to these substance abuses.
Okay.
Education is very important.
Can you hello? Can you say that again?
The preventive aspects.
Okay.
Yeah, the awareness.
All right.
Personally, I called this station before. I'm a volunteer working with the Foundation of Drug Free World, based in Los Angeles, United States of America.
Okay.
Okay, I found out that this project is settled now in Morovia, and ready to work with any group. So we can go from schools to schools, from communities to carry on the preventive aspect. I mean, the education.
Okay. All right.
I have the educational material, everything.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part. Let's hear from another person. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Steven Coriba.
Steven, you need to do us a favor. Just turn down the receiver a little bit.
Okay, it's okay now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I had a video guy saying that since after the Liberian Civil War 2005, a lot of the youth, some of them were not traumatized, so they involve themselves into these drugs
No. Nobody here said that.
Okay. I would like for me to find out something for you. It is this. I would like for you to tell me now, the youth now that some of them are in the habit of smoking drugs, what are some of them, the cause of them taking part in the narcotic drugs? What are some of them because of after the 40 or so
fella. I can't answer that question because many people who are on drugs, they're on drugs for different reasons. So I can't tell you, because the man was not this or that. No, I can't say that to you. So I don't want you to waste our time, or I don't want to waste the time because
we have rehabilitation, but some of them are in drugs. What causes the case different drugs? So I want to find out for you. How can you tell us that those are who are in these drugs, and when you arrest them, what the cause of them, what the evidence there for the causes them to engage into some of these things?
Okay. All right. So just keep listening. I will ask them because they interact with these people. What are some of the things they say for which they get into drugs? I'm sure that will help you. Okay. Thank you. Let's take another person. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Papa.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, anyway, I'm doing solution to your community.
Okay.
Brother, we just have to be able to fight the drug issue because and why the woman said on the air that when you care with the people, when they're coming back, they should come with what's in their mind. All of people learn something, but they are taking drugs, but they need to be rehabilitated. And why do you care with the people now that when they come from there, you gotta be somebody in the society.
Okay.
So people to work with them, carry on the awareness, and find other people. Because what we knew in the past was marijuana. People come and then they put brain push. You know what I mean? They think can make you lose form.
They think it make you lose form.
They think it make you lose form. Your whole body when you see somebody look at you, say, get a fire coming from your arm.
I mean, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's take another person from this line. Hello,
how are you?
Welcome, sir.
Okay, I'm calling from Mount Bagley.
Okay, make your point.
I want to ask the studio guy whether they will be working with a DEA or they have their own force that will do the arresting. If they arrest, but about these prisoners that will be arrested fully to know whether they will not be free over there or they will not be the officer will be so steady and more, then they free them out of jail.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Your questions are well taken. I will go back to our guests to let them answer the first batch of questions that came in. You heard the callers. I'm sure. I want us to, in fact, start from this guy who asked, what do you hear from these people who are into the drugs? When you talk to them, why do you get in drugs? Why are you into drugs? What do you hear some of them say?
Okay, to answer the first questions, you see, something must start with somebody.
Mm.
And introducing drugs into Liberia, it started with the child soldiers. And most often when you go to the ghettos, the ghettos owners, okay, call it they got a gang group, they got a head.
Okay.
And these are other guys who are leading the younger ones. So they are the ones, some of them, many of them, when you ask them, they were former soldiers before and traumatized. Most of them said when they came back from the war, nothing doing. Not all of them were, the rehabilitation. They took their gun from them. They never got a job. And then drugs business is a fast money making thing. And how most of them, because they already had the idea, they begin to honor, OP ghettos in the Fira community. And when they started, there was nothing there, people giving a hard time. And they started making money.
Yeah.
So that's
sure.
how other people got into it and it started
And start
spraying.
making more disciples.
Yeah.
And
So that's how it started.
and yeah, another person asked, "What are you?" Which I'm not sure of. Whether you have your own force to go and do a rest, and I think you heard that call.
Yeah. So the answer is no.
Mm.
So there's a system already in the country. The LDEA is the one charged with that responsibility. We only we collaborate with them, and that's what we said. So the collaboration advocating that they have the necessary resources to do it, but then at the same time, recognize the multi-sectoral intervention that they have health institutions. They think it's not only enforcement, so they're doing enforcement. They will have the rehabilitation. And the brother will also talk about prevention. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, prevention is very, very key because it's better for us that have public health background to prevent than to prevention is better than cure. That is shortest way like brain people.
Mm.
And just to add to what, in addition to what my colleague said in terms of the causes, the legacy of the war is one, but I will also say that the guys that are taking drugs, some of them did not even see the war. So peer pressure comes there, experimenting. Some of them want to experiment to see how it feels like. Uh, and then this they think about the stress and trauma. Some of them also tell you,
Mm.
and things are high in the country, and this one. Sometimes when I take it, I feel this way. Just
Okay.
like that.
I will ask you this last one before I take your parting comments. In time past, most of what we heard of a big challenge for the issue of drugs when it comes to the LDEA was always the issue of the law. The law is weak. The law is weak. Is the current law that you people work to bring into being, do you think it's strong enough now to help the DEA do its work effectively?
I will speak to that to say it's 100% strong. 100% strong.
Mm.
But implementation and sincerity
Okay.
is what matter. Implementation and sincerity. Because like you see this group, it was sincerity that got us to where we are. The aspect of implementing, our partners giving us funding, it was just one aspect of it to have the law being implemented, but sincerity was the one that carried us along. Every funding that we had, it was being used for the internal purpose. Nothing was diverted for any one personal use. If we were to have 4 to 5 stakeholder meetings with the right kind of people who went about doing it at the right time.
Okay.
So sincerity is the one that drives us to where we are. So if the LDA is also doing this with sincerity, working directly with the law, definitely will have drugs will not be eradicated from Liberia, but I can say 85% will get results.
Okay. All right. So let me have your parting comments now because we are out of time, but I will start with you, Swari.
Yeah, so thank you very much for hosting us. I would just want to say that the new law that has been passed is good. It's in the interest of everyone. To those of you that are using, you have a way to stop doing it and become good citizens. Those of you that are trafficking, you must watch out because there's something big coming for you and you need to desist. And those of you that are even using, and if you start to become trafficker because there are people that are using and they start helping the traffickers to distribute, you are in the wrong place. And please stop that because the law is now there and is being enforced. And the early signs we are getting from the DEA is promising. We hope they will continue in that same direction. Thank you.
Okay. All right, madam.
Okay, my party comment is number one to His Excellency that the rehabilitation is very, very key, because there are a lot of raiding that are going around and we don't know where the guys are. They are clustered somewhere and they might cause more damages if we don't do something about the rehabilitation. It's a health issues and it needs to be treated as a health emergency and not just the force aspect of it. It is good to use force to get in from all of the ghetto, but where are they going? So it is my party comment that the government should really, really see need for the National Rehabilitation Center that will be at least 99% freed, where today, if or LDA is saying they are going to Block A to raid, they already have places to carry the guys. They shouldn't just raid and the guys scatter all over in the various community, harming people, because right now is where we are going through. They are just harassing people's houses in the name of the SYC ghetto, and they raided them and they don't have anywhere to go. So we should actually look at the National Rehabilitation Center. It's very, very key. There are other rehabilitation centers around town, but they cannot afford to go there. Even their parents cannot afford, because it's chargeable to keep somebody in rehabilitation center. You got to provide food for them. Some of them and the rehabilitation, they don't even have a medication for them to give to them. They are actually struggling. They are doing their best, but it is not easy. So the government need to also go and see how best they can even upgrade those that are also in existence while they are preparing for the national one. So that's a very key things for them to actually put in place as an emergency.
Okay, she's Moria Momba Pin. She is the focal person of the West Africa Drug Policy Network Liberia chapter. Earlier, you heard his Saidou Soare, the deputy focal person of the group. They've been our guests here on this last segment of the Bumper Show. So on that note, that's how we end this edition of the program. Tomorrow we will be here with another edition. Join us if you can. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Chap Davis. Wishing you all the best from Painesville. Good evening and bye-bye for now.